Get a word on this. And the other big stories of the day, Charlie Rowley, political commentator, is with us. Afternoon to you, Charlie.
Good afternoon, Ian. Hi.
Always good to have you with us. It is a big day, of course. Donald Trump is ready in the wings, waiting to go. 47th President of the United States will be sworn in at 4:47. I like the way they time that. Good luck on the person that has to slow down or speed up, whatever it is they're saying at that point, and get it bang on. But we know he's going to start with a bang, really, taking office. 100 executive orders expected to be signed in the first few days. He vows to change every radical, foolish executive order of the Biden administration. Let's have a listen to what Mr. Trump said just yesterday.
Oh, you're going to have a lot of fun watching television tomorrow. Somebody said yesterday, sir, don't sign so many in one day. Let's do it over a period of weeks. I said, like hell, we're going to do it over weeks. We're going to sign them at the beginning.
There it is. Like hell, we're going to do it. There he is, Charlie. And we were just, I don't know whether you read the Matthew Paris column, but it kind of really reflects a big body of feeling of some people. You know, this man is a cheat, he's a buffoon, he's a liar, he's a criminal, all of this. But if you take the person out of it and just look at the policies, the kind of mood music around and the direction of travel of Donald Trump, it's not hard to see why this man got elected.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. And I haven't read Matthew's column this week yet, but I will after this. But I also think even if you put the man back into it, and even if all of those things are true, you've got to try and make people like Matthew and actor Brian Cox, who I saw on another broadcast round this morning, who effectively just said, he couldn't work out why women would vote for Donald Trump. They just don't get it. And I thought, you've got to understand, however patronising that is, even if you don't like Donald Trump, even if you can't stand the man, and you're coming from that particular point of view, what you've got to do is ask those people to understand, or ask, why can't you understand why things have been so bad in America? That's why people have voted for Donald Trump again. Yeah. And when you see the international climate, the world needs somebody like Donald Trump to tackle the issues that we're all facing, whether it's confronting Vladimir Putin, whether it's getting involved in the Middle East, where we're seeing the great news of the ceasefire there. This man in his first term did a lot on the international stage, for good or for ill, but at least he made waves. And I think most people in history will look kinder on Donald Trump than some of his critics.
Will he change the world, do you think, Charlie? Because, I mean, there is, certainly a suggestion, and I've heard it said by a number of commentators today, that he should be or could be in line for a Nobel Peace Prize later this year.
Well, I think, yes, I've heard that too. I don't know how they mark the homework of people who are putting themselves forward for it. But I mean, there's, to say on your first day in office, if there isn't a ceasefire, particularly when we're talking about Palestine and Gaza, the Hamas and Gaza in the Middle East, they'll be held to pay if those hostages aren't released. Well, they've been released moments before Donald Trump has come in. So, now whether threatening to unleash hell on these two different groups, I'm not sure whether that qualifies you for a Nobel Peace Prize, but at least you see changes happen. In his first term, he was the first, I think, American president to visit North Korea.
Yeah.
These are things that never been done before. When it came close to home, NATO challenging France, Germany, the UK
100%.
to spend 2% on our GDP because America can't pay for all of our defence. Absolutely right. But of course, everybody got into a massive panic about that across Europe, particularly our European friends, because they'd never experienced somebody as an actual negotiator, as an actual businessman before. It's probably all been very nicey diplomacy. And a metropolitan elitist politics. We now have someone at the helm that knows what he wants to do, says what he's going to do, and he's actually going to get on and do it.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because there was the great bit of footage, wasn't there, with Angela Merkel. He was actually telling her, you guys don't pay enough. You never see that. You never see everything. Whenever there's a press conference or two leaders together, everybody is nicey and they're all pals and it's all smiles and they say, well, we had a very frank conversation. You get it in a press conference. You never see somebody say, look, I'm sorry, Angela, you ain't pulling your weight on this one, mate, so you've got to pay more, and that's essentially what Trump did. And it's for those sort of reasons, that level of, I mean, some people would struggle to use the word honest when you're talking about senior politicians, but it's that absolute sort of almost brutal way of advancing what you're looking for, what you want, what you believe, that is the part of the attraction of Donald Trump.
Absolutely. He's very matter of fact. He's very direct. Whether what he says is sometimes a bit of bluster, a bit of the showman coming through. But I think, that's part of the package that everybody accepts with Donald Trump. But when I think it comes to the actual decision making and the hard decision making and the facts, he will look you square in the eye. And as you say, you either need to pay more or it's a deal or no deal. And if you don't want it, fine, don't worry. He'll make other deals elsewhere. He won't hold America back because he's got the confidence enough in himself, in his own abilities, and obviously has the confidence of quite a lot of Americans.
Is Donald Trump going to change the world? We watch with interest. Let's move to the other big story around over the weekend, the ceasefire that came into effect yesterday in Gaza. 3 hostages released from the hands of Hamas. Let's have a listen to what David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, said in a statement in the House of Commons just last week.
33 of the hostages will be freed. Children, women, those over 50 and the wounded. Israel will start to redeploy to the edge of the Strip. Palestinians will return to what is left of their homes. The Rafah crossing will reopen. Israel will allow 600 truckloads of aid into Gaza each day. And on the 16th day, negotiations will begin on the detail of the second phase.
Well, that's the Foreign Secretary. We're hopeful, of course, as the only thing we can be really, Charlie, that this does begin the process that continues in this way and then results in something more permanent. But I don't think anybody, when we're dealing with this region and this area and this particular battle, when you're up against essentially a terrorist group, I don't think anybody says that lightly.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, obviously, wonderful scenes to watch yesterday as hostages were released, including a British national. And so the whole process is broken up into, I think it's 3 phases. So this is phase 1. So hopefully that paves the way for a smooth and successful sort of transfer of those other hostages in the next phases to come. But I think it will become more difficult. Tensions are always high, and therefore it's maintaining that peace and stability and maintaining that transition of hostages and prisoners that are being released, obviously, from Israel back to Palestine. Then you've got to hope that it holds up. And when you're seeing, just in relation to the transfer, obviously in American politics, so Trump coming in, you can only hope that his watchful eye of the situation will make sure that those peaceful phases are achieved.